In this video, you're going to learn all about autophagy and 21 ways to achieve this magical process. Let's do this. What's up, Keto Camper? Ben Azadi here, certified functional health practitioner, best-selling author of 3 books, and here at Keto Camp, we are on a mission to educate 1 billion people on planet Earth on the amazing healing benefits of the keto diet, fasting, and other ancient healing strategies. So if you're interested in that, you're in the right spot. So if you've been following keto or fasting, you've heard of this word autophagy. What is this magical word? I'm gonna break it all down for you in a way that makes sense, and then I'm going to give you 21 ways to achieve this magical process called autophagy. So the analogy I like to explain is this. We're made up of 70 trillion cells. That's trillion cells that we're made up of. And let's break it down to a biology 101 level. Think of your cells as these circles, and every cell has within it your DNA. These are the genes you were born with that you cannot change, but, and this is a big but, you can change the expression of those genes via a process called epigenetics, which literally means above the gene. We actually have 95% control over the expression of our genes. So yeah, it's true, we cannot change the genes. The genes that we're born with, we were dealt those cards and we're stuck with those cards. It's kind of like the bullets that load the gun. But you, Keto Camper, the thoughts that you think, the food you put into your mouth, your lifestyle determines whether or not you pull the trigger on that gun. Think of genes as lights you turn on and lights you turn off. The powerful thing about keto and fasting and autophagy, which I'll get into, is that it's a great way to start turning off bad genes. So every cell has your mitochondria, which is the energy power plant of your cells. It produces ATP, it gives you life, and it's a magical process. It's an incredible process the way we were designed to function. Every cell has an expiration date on it. We require 70 billion cells every single day that need to be recycled. So the analogy I'm going to start with here is think of your cells as the groceries that you have inside of your refrigerator right now. What's going to happen if all of those groceries you have in your fridge expire, but instead of throwing them out of the fridge into the trash as they expire, you kind of just push them towards the back of the fridge, hide them out in there, and you just keep that door closed. And then you drive to the supermarket, you buy brand new groceries with new expiration dates, bring it back home, open up that door, put the new groceries in front of the old expired groceries, and close that door again. What's gonna happen? Disease, bacteria, mold, it's going to be a toxic environment. Well, guess what? Your cells have expiration dates just like these groceries. And if we're not taking the time to throw out these expired cells, bad things start to happen in the body like disease and even cancer. Autophagy, which literally means eat thyself, self-eating, is that process of getting rid of these damaged cells, damaged groceries inside of your refrigerator. That is what autophagy is. Autophagy. Autophagy or autophagy means self-eating. So the analogy I like to give also is think of Pac-Man going through the body, cleaning out the junk, cleaning within the cells, and gobbling up the damaged stuff. The body is so sophisticated that it has this innate intelligence within it. And this innate intelligence actually goes for the bad stuff first. It goes for the expired cells first. So think of this ship that's going through the Atlantic Ocean, and there's 100 passengers on this ship. All of a sudden, this ship is taking on all of this water, and it's starting to sink. What's going to happen? The captain of that ship is going to order all the crew members to start dumping cargo off that ship that is least important to get through this stressor so it could survive and thrive. The body does the same thing. It'll get rid of unimportant cargo first so the body could survive and thrive. Very, very powerful. If you look at the whole rebuilding process when it comes to nature, when it comes to the human body and in nature, or even when let's say you want to buy a new house and you see this old house that's all beat up and teared apart, Are you gonna just build a new fresh house on top of that old one, or are you gonna tear down that old house before you build back up? Of course, it's the latter. Same thing with your body. You tear down, you clean out within, and then you build back up. That is what autophagy is doing. And to put this in perspective of how powerful it can be for preventing disease, specifically cancer, because when we look at cancer rates in this world, it's devastating. And if you've ever known somebody with cancer, maybe you have cancer, it's such a disgusting disease that we need to understand a little bit better. 1 out of 3 people are going to get diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. That's soon to be 1 out of 2 people. It's absolutely absurd. So we have a problem. A lot of that damage can be undone with autophagy because the body is so stinking smart that it will look for cells that are cancerous or precancerous that could turn into cancerous cells, and it will use that for energy first via autophagy. And I'm gonna get into how to activate autophagy. I'm gonna give you 21 ways to do it, but first I want you to understand the importance of this powerful word and process called autophagy. If you look at the research of Dr. Thomas Seyfried, who is a world-renowned oncologist from Boston College, he wrote the book Cancer as a Metabolic Disease. Very well respected. I followed his work. I've been following his work for several years. He's been quoted in saying, if you were to complete a 7-day water-only fast, you would reduce your chances of any cancer by 95%. That's 95%. That is a very powerful statement. Dr. Thomas Seyfried has actually literally seen tumors shrink before his eyes when his patients achieve something called maximum autophagy. I'm gonna get to how to achieve that after I break down a little bit more on how to achieve autophagy normal ways. I'll get into a little bit deeper on how to get maximum autophagy. So stick with me, and it's a process you wanna learn about for sure. We know that the body has these senescent cells, cells that have been lying around that are dormant. Dave Asprey from Bulletproof, he calls these zombie cells. They are zombie cells that have just laying around. We want to get rid of these senescent zombie cells and start producing healthier cells, because every time the body cleans out a cell or gets rid of a damaged cell like these zombie cells, it produces a signal to stimulate a stem cell. You might have heard of stem cells being regulated out with the FDA and being injected into people, and people paying thousands of dollars. Your body actually produces stem cells naturally. Every time you get rid of a cell, you produce a stem cell for a new, healthier cell. So you get this process for free. One of the most powerful ways to achieve autophagy is fasting. And I'm gonna get into it and how and where does autophagy start with fasting. But before I get into that and give you 21 ways to achieve that, let's explain a little bit more about the 2 processes in the human body which signal growth or signal repair and breaking down. So you have autophagy, which I just broke down. You should understand what autophagy does and how it works in the body. The reason autophagy is so important and so popular nowadays is the Nobel Prize winner in 2016. He won the Nobel Prize. His name was Yoshinori Oshumi. He won this for his breakthrough research in autophagy because it's so powerful. But when you look at the opposite end of autophagy, you have something called mTOR. mTOR stands for mammalian target of rapamycin. This signals growth, anabolic growth. This is building up. mTOR is not the bad guy unless you are always in a growth phase. You are constantly spiking mTOR. When you look at bodybuilders, they're always in mTOR. Why do you think bodybuilders die 12 years younger than the average person? Because they're always in this anabolic state of mTOR. They're having cells that are zombie cells, precancerous cells starting to duplicate because you're eating every 2 to 3 hours. You're eating too much protein. You're constantly spiking mTOR. That's a problem. So we don't want too much mTOR, and we don't want too much autophagy, because if you have too much autophagy, which is the opposite of mTOR, you're gonna be too catabolic. Once the body's done breaking down the bad stuff, it'll go into the good stuff and you'll be too catabolic. You might end up losing too much healthy protein, and we don't want that. So there is an art to this, and this is exactly what I teach in the Keto Camp Academy, the art to mastering autophagy versus mTOR. So it's called diet variation. I learned this from Dr. Pompa, and we go deep in the Keto Camp Academy. If you want to learn more about the Keto Camp Academy, head over to ketocampacademy.com. We still have about 40% left for the new founding member special, so you get locked in at a special price. So you understand, we don't want too much autophagy, we don't want too much mTOR. There's a balance here. Let's get into now 21 ways to achieve autophagy, and then I'm going to break down how to achieve maximum autophagy to get some of those benefits that Dr. Thomas Seyfried spoke about. All right, here's the list for you. I hope you have a pen and paper ready. I hope if you're driving, maybe you could pull over and you could start writing down these 21 ways to achieve it. Number one, this is going to be great news for you coffee drinkers out there. Coffee. Coffee has been shown to increase autophagy. It also could help you burn some fat, and it helps with the brain. But there's a caveat here. Not all coffee beans are created equal. In fact, most of the coffee out there is toxic. They have been sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. I don't know if you knew this, but coffee is the #1 sprayed crop in the entire world, right up there with corn and soy. So if you're drinking toxic coffee like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, you're driving through the drive-thru on your way to work and getting that every single day, you're just filling up your body with pesticides and toxins. And not only that, mold. Mold grows on a lot of those beans, and they create these mold spores called mycotoxins, which get stored in your nasal passages, and it just creates problems. The pesticides open up your tight junctions, creating leaky gut, and the mold just creates massive amounts of inflammation. So when I say coffee, I mean organic, shade-grown coffee. The only coffee I drink is from Purity Coffee because they do things right. I did an entire interview on the Keto Camp podcast with Andrew Salisbury, who's the founder of Purity Coffee. Totally respect Andrew and what they're doing over at Purity. So much so that I got an affiliate link for Keto Campers to get 10% off if you want to give them a try. Head over to ketocampcoffee.com and you could use the coupon code KETOCAMP to try them out, get 10% off. So coffee will definitely help you achieve more autophagy. Just make sure your coffee is organic, shade grown, and specialty grade, and you have been doing the right thing. The next thing on my list is going to be green tea. Green tea has a compound called ECGC, which studies show stimulates autophagy specifically within the liver cells. That's so important because the liver is the master detoxification organ, is the soccer mom of all organs. It does everything and anything. And if you've been a sugar burner, eating high carbohydrate diet, eating every 2 to 3 hours, you have pounded your liver, not to mention all the environmental toxins out there. So you gotta actually stimulate autophagy within liver cells by drinking green tea. I like Peak green tea, I like Yogi green tea, those are my go-to. We also know ginger. Ginger helps your body produce autophagy. So you could have the ginger root or you could actually drink ginger tea. Ginger actually has more benefits than that because I talk about the benefits of stimulating healthy bile to break down fat on keto, and ginger helps you do that. So ginger is just a great keto approved food. Next on the list is turmeric. Curcumin is the compound found in turmeric. So add turmeric to your food. Drink a golden milk latte. Turmeric will help stimulate this magical process called autophagy. Then we have kale. When it comes to kale, you don't want to have too much because it has high oxalates and some people are sensitive to that. So lightly steam your kale, put some olive oil, some salt, maybe you could put some turmeric in there as well, maybe some ginger, and you'll get some autophagy going. Broccoli and broccoli sprouts also helps stimulate autophagy. I love broccoli. It has a compound in it called sulforaphane, which turns on so many longevity genes, the NRF2 pathway, so many cool things. I actually go deep into this compound and broccoli in the Keto Camp Academy, and I totally geek out on in there. So broccoli and broccoli sprouts are fantastic. Berberine is also going to help stimulate autophagy. It's also good for managing blood sugar. So have some berberine before a large meal. It'll help you get autophagy during a fast, and it'll help you regulate your blood sugar. Olive oil is also next on the list. You know me, I'm an olive oil snob if you've been following my work and listening to the podcast. Not all olive oil is created equal. A lot of the stuff on the shelf in your grocery store is cut with canola and other toxic vegetable oils, or it's been sitting there and the quality has been lost. So here's how you know if your olive oil is loaded with these polyphenols that will help spike autophagy. Do the taste test. Put it in a tablespoon, consume it. If it burns your throat, makes your tongue a little fuzzy, that is a 2 thumbs up. It is loaded with polyphenols. You'll get autophagy going from that olive oil. But if it goes down smooth, it's not one of the good ones. So I actually partner with Fresh Pressed Olive Oil Club. If you go to KetoCampOliveOil.com, you could get a $39 bottle of this olive oil for $1. That's KetoCampOliveOil.com. Next is coconuts. So coconut oil will help for sure. Delicious, put it in your coffee, you get double bang for your buck right there. Reishi mushrooms, which not only help you relax and get to sleep, you could also get some autophagy via reishi mushrooms. Resveratrol is also on the list. Then we have a compound called fisetin. Fisetin is great. Naringin. So these are found in citrus compounds, citrus fruits, the skin, the peel of citrus fruits. Schisandrin is in the next one. Elderberries is also on there. Onions, cranberries. Cranberries can be keto if you don't overdo it. Also, blueberries is on the list as well, which also is my favorite keto-approved fruit. You just don't want to overdo it or knock yourself out of ketosis. And then we have two final things on this list, which are actually the most powerful ways to stimulate autophagy. And before I get to that, I want to also ask you to give this video, if you're on YouTube right here watching this, a thumbs up if you found this video beneficial so far. And if you're not subscribed to the Keto Camp YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button real quick and hit the bell so you're notified when I release a brand new video. I mentioned it already. The next tip here, which is the most powerful way to stimulate autophagy, is fasting. Oh my gosh, fasting. So where does autophagy start in a fast? It really depends on the person and how metabolically flexible or damaged they are. But I would give you a general answer, and I would say the 16-hour mark, you'll start getting this autophagy. So if you start with a 16-hour fasting window and then an 8-hour eating window, so a 16-8 schedule, you should be getting some autophagy. What does that look like on your schedule? That means your first meal would be 12 p.m., so you essentially skip breakfast, and you continue eating and you cap it at 8 p.m. So you have an 8-hour eating window, 16-hour fasting window. Intermittent fasting is so powerful, but you want to make sure you're doing it the right way. You won't just go into fasting if you haven't been fat adapted, keto adapted first. So I have a 28-day keto jumpstart. If you're interested in achieving ketosis the right way and then doing some fasting, I could teach you all about that in the Keto Camp Academy. I have a 28-day keto jumpstart, and you can lose 20 pounds within those 28 days. I've seen it before. Then you can start pairing fasting and getting more of this autophagy. But fasting is a very powerful way to get autophagy. So many people are creating disease in their life because they're eating too frequently. The average American eats 17 to 21 times per day. Never achieving autophagy when you do that, because you're in a constant fed state. You're in a constant mTOR state. When we talked about mTOR, you don't want to be in mTOR all the time. So we want to make sure we are not doing that. We're not the average American. The next thing is exercise. Exercise, specifically high intensity exercise, lifting some weights, will stimulate autophagy. So here's a powerful hack for you before I get into how to get maximum autophagy. A powerful hack for you is this: combine fasting and exercise. Do a fasted workout once you are keto adapted, and you'll get amazing benefits of autophagy and fat burning and just BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor, miracle growth for your brain. One of the best things I've done for my health is exercising in the fasted state. You gotta look at it as a muscle that you gotta develop before you start doing it, and I could teach you how to do it in the academy, but that'll be a game changer for your health. So those are the 21 ways to achieve autophagy. Now, how do you achieve maximum autophagy, which I mentioned Dr. Thomas Seyfried has seen tumors shrink before his eyes? The goal is to achieve a 1-to-1 ratio of glucose versus ketones. What do I mean by that? You take your blood glucose and you divide it by 18. You get that number, you compare it to your ketones, your blood ketones. If you have a 1-to-1 ratio or better, you are in this maximum autophagy. How do you test your ketones? I just released an entire video on it on this YouTube channel, the Keto Camp YouTube channel. So go watch that video. I recommend Keto Mojo. Great machine, very easy to use. I'll put a link for them down below. So you want to make sure you're getting that 1-to-1 ratio if your goal is to achieve maximum autophagy. It's very hard to do unless you're doing a block fast, an extended fast, so 2, 3, 4 days of fasting. And I teach this. I actually do a 7-week program that I launch every few months called Beyond Fasting, where it all leads up to this maximum autophagy. And I have a week-by-week approach, and I give you weekly coaching calls. So if you're interested in that, I have about 21 spots left. The next class is launching on November 4th, and it's a 7-week program designed to get you into that maximum autophagy. Head over to ketocampfasting.com and you can learn more. I'm also giving away over $3,000 in free gifts for anybody who signs up. It's not going to be a big group of people, so it's first come, first serve. Action takers rule the world, so if you can take action on that today, you'll get in there and learn about that and get locked in and get 7 weeks coaching to get this maximum autophagy. So now you heard all about it, you know what autophagy is, and then the last thing I want to share with you is this. A lot of the times when people lose weight, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 80 pounds, I personally lost 80 pounds 11 years ago, there's this loose skin. That's one of the drawbacks when you lose weight the wrong way. Let's say you have 100 pounds to lose, or you just lost 100 pounds and you have extra skin. Autophagy is a great way to tighten up that skin because your body's going to eat those damaged proteins. That's what it is, it's excess protein. The example I'll give you is this. The Guinness World Record for the longest recorded fast was from a gentleman named Angus Burberry, who I talked about in my book, Fasting Cheat Sheet. He went 382 days without food. Yes, a 382-day fast. What happened to Angus Burberry? He felt amazing. He went from 450 pounds to 180 pounds. Now keep in mind, this was medically supervised and all he had was water and a multivitamin for 382 days. Here's the biggest takeaway that I want to make that's relevant to the point I'm trying to make. He didn't have any loose skin. Autophagy took care of his loose skin. So if you do it the right way, you could lose weight and not have excess skin. Look fantastic, feel fantastic. So autophagy, the benefits are endless. I have an entire section in the Keto Camp Academy designated to teach you all about autophagy. So if you want to go deeper, become a member today. Thank you so much on YouTube for watching this video. If you found it beneficial, please hit that like button if you haven't done so already and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what was your favorite way to achieve autophagy. I'd love to know what that was out of the 21 options I gave you. And I want to say thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Thanks.